lovelies, I hope you're all doing so great today. I've decided to tell you guys about all the series that I've started and have yet to finish. Pretty sure there's over 50, so I'm just gonna jump right into it so that this video doesn't take a year to make. I'm going to start with the ones that I have in physical copy, and then I'll move on to the ones that I either borrowed from the library or read on my Kobo e-reader. The first is a trilogy, and that is the Embassy Row trilogy by Ali Carter. I read the first book. I thought it was good. I didn't fall in love with it, but I plan on continuing, and I just haven't picked it up. I read this last year. The next one I'm very embarrassed not to have finished, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I think there's 6 books out now, or the 6th book is coming out. I've only read the first one. Yeah. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was so weird and great, and I was having a blast reading it. And again, I just never picked up any more. So I'm not going to explain what this is about because I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is about. I'm just the only one who doesn't, apparently, because I only read the first book. Okay, the next series, again, embarrassed, Dark Glass. I read the first book and the second book because that's all I own, and I never continued on. I loved these 2 books. I thought the action was great. I loved Selena. I think that's her name. Yep, Selena. And I just never continued on. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying I just never continued on because that's literally the case with all of these, except for a few that I've recently read. But yeah, gotta finish this eventually. Will it happen this year? Probably not, but it's gotta happen at one point. Okay, this one is a middle grade trilogy. I read the first 2 books. I only have the first one. King Chronicles. This is so far my least favorite story written by Rick Riordan. I love Percy Jackson, and I love the Lost Olympian series, or the Lost Heroes. But this one just wasn't for me, I guess. I love Greek mythology, so maybe it's just because it's a different mythology. It's Egyptian mythology, so maybe I didn't take to it as well, but I'm still gonna finish it. It's not a priority, so it's probably gonna sit on my bookshelves for a long time before I actually finish it. So the next I have the Luck series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I love these 2 books. I have the 3rd one. I got it from the library because I want, I see them to buy, but they're either the old copies or these versions, and I want to get the new ones. So I'm waiting until I see the new ones for sale before I purchase them because the new covers are gorgeous. But yeah, so I have the 3rd book from the library. I'm planning on reading it this month actually because I want to finish this series so I can jump into another series by Jennifer L. Armentrout because her writing is amazing. This is about aliens and a human, and there's a love story, and it's great. I'm trash for it. I've decided to read all of the Nancy Drew original mysteries. So this is the first one. I read the first 2 so far. I remember reading these when I was a kid, and I really liked them, but I can't remember which ones I read or not, so I just decided to read the whole thing. I find these are classic mystery stories that I feel everyone has experienced at one point or another. I found this at my local thrift store for $1, so I was pretty happy, and it seems like the pages are white, it's in perfect condition. I'm gonna collect these and read these. I actually recently read the first 2, so I'll be continuing on soon. Hopefully I'll get my way, I'll read a good chunk of them in 2021. Okay, the next is a trilogy from a new to me author, but I really, really loved the first book. I gifted my best friend the 2nd and 3rd book for Christmas because I loaned this one to her and she loved it, and it's Rose's Ghost by Teresa Dale. She's telling me that I need to read the 2nd book immediately because it's so good, so that's hopefully going to happen again this month. I read this at the end of last year. I loved it so much. It's about a family whose house, whose family home seems haunted. There is a snowplow outside my house, so sorry for the noise, but yeah, so haunted. She keeps seeing things about like a child in the snow, and it's so gripping, and I loved this book so much, so I can't wait to read Heather's Grave, which is the second book in the trilogy, and hopefully finish this out this year. The next trilogy, oh my god, I started so many trilogies and I've only ever read the first book from them, so maybe that's a goal this year, to read more trilogies. Not just series, but trilogies. Okay, so the first book is The Gilded King by Josie Jeffrey. It's the first book in her Sovereign trilogy. This is a different take on vampires. It's kind of more like the older time vampires. They all live in like this one city that's like walled, and they don't leave the city under any circumstances unless they need to, and it follows the servants of these vampires, and I did thoroughly enjoy this. I have a book review on my blog about this book because it was sent to me for review, and I did quite enjoy it, so I do plan on reading the second and third book. I just don't know when that's going to happen. Okay, the next book, or quartet I should say, is The Giver Quartet. I had to read this for English class when I was in school, like 6-7 years ago now, and recently I wanted to give it a reread, just to see if I still liked it as much as I did in that English class, and I really did. I've always wanted to continue on with this quartet, but the reason I haven't is because I know that they're more companion novels and they don't follow the same characters, which I really enjoy the characters from The Giver. So I will continue on. I just don't know when it's going to happen, just because I feel like my love for it, I'm scared to pick up the next books because I feel like my love for it is going to dwindle compared to this one, because I love this one so much, and I feel like the next books aren't going to measure up. Because like this one is the most popular. It's the first one. There was a movie made on it. No other movies were made. So yeah. I'm gonna read them. It's just I don't know when. Okay, the next is a really, really long series. And I got all the way to the okay, there's 12 books in this series, and I got all the way to like the 11th, and then I just stopped reading them. And that was like 6 years ago. So like, I committed to 10 books in this series, and then I'm like, oh, there's only 2 more left, I'm just going to stop here. And now if I want to finish out the series, I would need to reread them all, because I don't remember anything about them, which is so annoying. And that's the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. So yeah, I read the first 10. I only have the first, third, and fourth. I used to have more of them. I don't know where they went. They're just gone. But I could only find these 3. So yeah, I'm going to reread these eventually, but I'm just so annoyed at myself for like stopping at number 10. What was I thinking? I was so close. So close to finishing them. So yeah, so now I have to read 12 books because I couldn't finish 2. Story of my life. But yes, these are going to get reread eventually. I just don't know when. I'm going to say that every time, and it's going to get annoying, but I'm still going to say it. Timber! The next series, you guys are going to roll your eyes at me. I know you are. But the Pretty Little Liars series. I read these when I was like in 7th grade. Because my friends were all reading them and they loved them so much, and I just never, I don't know, there's something about them, I just couldn't get into them. Maybe because, no, I'm not going to say it. Maybe because they're trash. But, yeah, no, every single person in my school was like obsessed with these books, and I'm like, guys, why? Like, there's so many better books out there. Like, what, like, And they didn't read either. Like, they didn't read. Like, my best friend, she didn't read at all. And, like, the only times they would read was like, forcibly in English class. And then all of a sudden, just everyone started picking this up. And I'm like, out of all the books you could have started reading, you chose Pretty Little Liars. So, okay, I'll jump on the bandwagon. Let me see what it's all about. I read to, like, book 8. And I was like, this is just the same story regurgitated. Yeah, I used the word regurgitated. And I stopped reading them and I moved on to better things. But you know what? I'm still determined to finish them one day. It's going to take me a long time, and by the time I do, I'll probably be way too old for them and I won't tell anybody that I'm reading them. But I have this weird thing where if, like, I start a series, if, like, I find any enjoyment, whether it's, like, a 1-star and there's still one redeeming factor, I'll be like, I'm still going to continue on and see how the story goes. Why am I like this? I don't know. But yeah, you won't see me reading these anytime soon. Okay, so this series is Sea Breeze by Abby Glines. I know a lot of people either love or hate Abby Glines. I personally love this series. I've only read the first 3 books, which is Breathe, The Coming of Low, and I don't have the 3rd one. These 2 here are like number 5 or 6 or whatever. There was a deal, so I just got them all, even though they're not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I really loved the first 3. Each book makes me cry. Each book makes me swoon. Because it's like a lovely, romantic, you wouldn't think that these 2 people would get together, so cute. And then something bad happens between their relationship and then you're like, oh no. And then you cry. And then, like, in the end, everything turns out okay. And you're just like, okay, I wasted my tears. All 3 of them. So I'm expecting that's what's going to happen to the next ones. I'm planning on reading them this summer. I like more like cutesy, contemporary, fluffy romance in the summertime, because to me that's just like the genre to read in the summertime, especially like on the beach. So yeah, I'm hoping to get through more of these in 2021. Okay, I have 2 more that I physically own, and then we're moving on to books that I don't own anymore or at all. Okay, so another trilogy. Oh, could you have guessed it? The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I enjoyed the first book. It wasn't like amazing. I think I gave it 3 stars. I watched the movie. I really did enjoy the movie because Chloe Grace Moretz is just amazing. I love her so much. But I bought these. I don't have the first book. I just bought the ones that I needed to read. And it just never happened. And like, they're not thick, like they're pretty thin. So like, I know I can get through them quickly. It just hasn't happened yet. But another series that I'm hoping to finish sooner rather than later. And the last one, I don't even physically own. These are library books, but I figured I'd show them anyway. And that is Ashen Winter and Sunrise by Mike Mullen. I recently read Ashfall, which was the first book in this trilogy. Quite recently actually, and I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was amazing. It was gory and gripping and so intense, and it's about this volcanic eruption and how it basically turns like all these towns into just ash, and it's like a post-apocalyptic vibe, and I thought it was amazing. So I can't wait to read these. They are thick, very, very thick, and I'm hoping to get to these quite soon in the future as well. Okay, where's my phone? Okay, so I have my phone, so I kind of need to like, I can't remember all the series I don't have because I don't have them physically, so I just need to look at this real quick. Okay, one of them. The Hazelwood series by Melissa Albert. I think it's just a duology with a companion novel right now. I don't know if that's going to change. But I want to read the second book, The Night Country, and then the companion book, which I'm not sure of the name right now. I think it's Tales of the Winterwood, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to put the pictures here, so I'll move over. Again, the first book was, like, everyone was obsessed with it, and then when I read it, it was just a 3-star for me. Like, I didn't find anything spectacular about it. So I'm not in any rush to finish it, but it is something that I want to finish. The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I originally read the first 3 books in the trilogy, so that's done. And I read all the companions, but then she came out with a 4th book, which I'm pretty sure is Sue's, is that her name? Suzuma? Pretty sure it's her name. Her story as a yellow, and I really want to read from her perspective, so I really want to get to that eventually. It's The Darkest Legacy, I'm pretty sure. I'll put that there as well. What's next? The Chronicles of Vladimir Todd by, it says Heather Brewer on the books because they were earlier releases, but he is now Zach Brewer, so I'm going to say Zach Brewer. But if you want to look it up, it would be under Heather Brewer. Chronicles of Vladimir Todd. Those are books that I've been wanting to read for a while just because I thought it was cool how it's like, it goes from like 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Oh, it starts at 8th grade. It's 8th grade bites, and then it's 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So we kind of got to read as he was growing up, learning about all his powers and dealing with the after effects and all that. So I thought that was really interesting. I think right now they're a solid like 3-star series. I've only read the first 2, but I do plan on reading the rest of the series just because I want to see what happens. Riptide is the 2nd book by Kat Falls in the Dark Life duology. Dark Life we were forced to read in English class, and I quite enjoyed it for what it was. So I think I'm going to reread the duology because like that was so long ago, and I just never got the 2nd one because this was a recent purchase. I didn't have very much luck finding the 2nd book anywhere. So now that I have it, I'm going to reread both of them and hopefully enjoy it as much as I did when I was younger. Okay, The Last Apprentice series by Joseph Delaney. So I grew up in an all-French school, so I actually read the first few books in French, but I stopped because when I left school, I didn't speak French as often. I started getting more into the English books, so I didn't really continue on with those books in French. I could have just switched to English, but that just didn't really happen. So I want to reread this series in English. There's a lot of books in this series, and I only read the first 3, and I think there's over 12. So I am planning on doing that. I don't know if it's going to be this year at all. I have so many books I need to read this year, and those ones just aren't high on the list as of right now, but they will happen someday. My Blood Approves by Amanda Hawking. I read the first 4 books when they were all released, and then the 5th book got cancelled, and then it finally just came out. But it's been so long since I've read those books, like when I was like 13 or 14. So I'm going to have to reread the first 4 to get to the 5th one. And I don't even know if I'm going to still like it, because I know that My Blood Approves, it was good, but it was my least favorite series written by Amanda Hawking because I was obsessed with her books when I was younger. So I'm planning on doing that, but there's something about rereading books that I loved when I was younger is I'm scared they're not going to hold up. So so there's quite a few of these that like to continue on I would need to reread, but I keep putting it off because I'm scared that I'm not going to like it as much, or it's going to ruin my thoughts of them, which were books I really cherished when I was a kid. So I'm kind of hesitant on those, but like it will happen one day. It's just I don't want to do them all right now and then realize that all my favorite books sucked. So yeah. The next is The Iron Fate by Julie Kagawa. Again, same story. I read the first 5, and The Iron Legends, which was the companion novel to those. And then a spin-off series came out, and then more books came out, and I just never picked them up. So I will continue on with the companion series, but I do want to reread the original series before I continue on, and that's another one that I've been putting off because I'm scared I'm not going to like it as much. Riders of the Apocalypse series by Jackie Morse Kessler. I read the first book, and it was really triggering for me because the main character had a severe eating disorder, and I was unaware of that when I went into this series. So it's focused on the 4 riders of the Apocalypse. That's why it's called Riders of the Apocalypse. But yeah, after it was a good book. I gave it 3 stars, but just not knowing that I was going to be triggered like that kind of put off me picking up the next book, because I was just nervous that I would still become uncomfortable while reading about certain subject matter. So if you do pick it up, it's good, but just be conscious that there are triggers for severe eating disorder. The next is The Lorien Legacies by Pittacus Lore. I was obsessed with those in middle school. I stopped, I think, at book 5. Or book... No, I think it was book 4. I never continued on, and I was obsessed. I reread the book so many times. I watched the movie so many times. I just loved those books so much. And then one day I just picked up other books and I never looked back. And that is a series that I do want to reread, but I know that if I reread them, I'm just not going to enjoy them as much as when I was a kid, because I haven't thought about it. I haven't missed them. I haven't missed the characters. I honestly completely forgot about the plot. So I know that it's just the love I had is not going to be there, which is why, again, I'm putting it off. But it'll happen one day. What else? Shatter Me by Taheda Mafi. I love those books. Okay, so many people say like they're burned out from dystopia because of like Divergent and the Hunger Games and all the dystopian books that came out like 2011 era, but like I still love dystopia. Like I will read dystopia books, especially like young adult dystopia is amazing. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna get sick of it per se. Shatter Me, loved it. Divergent, loved it. I actually want to reread Divergent because I miss it. And the movies disappointed me. The first one was good. The rest of them were meh. So yeah, I want to reread that to like rekindle my love for it, because I know I'm going to enjoy it. Like it was just one of my favorite books of all time. So Shatter Me, I read the first book. The second book I don't have at my library. They have every single book in the series except for the second book. So I'm thinking someone must have took it out, never returned it, and then they just never replaced it. So I bought it on my Kobo. I just haven't read it yet. What else? The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I read the first book. I'm not a big fan of retellings. It was good though. Like I didn't hate it, but I am not a big fan of retellings. So I really have to be in the mood to pick up books centered on fairy tales. That's why I haven't. Again, I've been putting it off. But I do want to read them so I can understand why everyone loves them. And like even reading Cinder, I understand why everyone loved Cinder. It's not really for me, but I still recognize that it was a good book. But right now I just want to focus on books that I know I'm going to enjoy, which is why I haven't been reading a lot of these series. Wings by April Pike. It was a 4-book series. Loved it in middle school. And then like so many years later, a 5th book just magically came out called Arabesque, which I'll put there. Yeah, I'm excited because I really loved that series when I was younger. But again, would have to reread it to know what the heck is going on. Same with Fallen by Lauren Kate. I know a lot of people hated that series. I was one of them that loved it in middle school. It didn't take a lot to impress me when it came to reading. I was new getting into reading, and literally every story I was just like, oh my god, that was so good. Like I didn't think that there were such things as bad books, because like everything I read I was like, oh, I love that. Like I want to read more. Because I didn't critique. I just read, enjoyed, moved on. I was up like in middle school I really used reading as a way of escaping. So I read a book a day no matter how long the pages were. I would stay up till like 4 a.m. finishing a book. The next day I'd go to school, I'd have a new book. And the next day I'd go to school, I'd have a new book. And the teachers were like, you didn't finish that book already? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just, whatever. But yeah, so like I know if I reread like a bunch of books I read during that period of my life, they're not going to be positive results. So Fallen is one I'm nervous about too. Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I read the first book, I think 2 years ago. I don't remember reading it. I actually had to go on my Goodreads shelf because I thought that I didn't read it at all, because the synopsis on Goodreads does not ring a bell whatsoever. So I will be continuing on with that series, but I will be needing to reread the first book. I rated it 5 stars, so I must have loved it. But also, why did I rate it 5 stars if it was that like if it was that forgettable. So I don't generally forget a plot within 2 years time. Okay, I guess recording stopped. Maybe my camera's full. I've been talking a lot, but that's okay. So what was I saying? The Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan. I read the Percy Jackson series. Loved it. I read the Heroes of Olympus books 1 to 4. Loved it. Bought the 5th book. Never read it. Like, what was my issue back then? I was like so in love with the series, and I read all of the books, and then when it came to like the last 2 or the last one, I'd be like, no, I'm good. I don't need to read what happens. I don't need to read the finale. Why? Why? If I could go back and say one thing to my younger self, be finish series. You read like 10 books in a series. You can't finish the last book. What is wrong with you? Oh my god. Okay. Sky Chasers by Amy Kathleen Ryan. I don't think that's a popular trilogy. The first book was really good. The second book was so boring. But I want to know what happens. Which again, didn't finish the last book because apparently I just didn't do that. The Wolves of Mercy Falls by Maggie Stiefvater. Read the original trilogy. It was finished, and then a 4th book came out following a different character of the series. And never read it. So yeah, that's one I'll reread. Nobody likes The Wolves of Mercy Falls, but again, that was a trilogy I read when I was in middle school, and I thought that every book was amazing. So I don't know what my thoughts would be like. I have the first book over there on the shelf, but I'm too lazy to go walk over and get it, so there's that. The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a series that I've been reading for like 3 years. My library doesn't have the last book for some reason. My library loves to do that. They'd be like, oh, here's like all the books except for the second one or the third one or whatever. You don't need that one. You can just skip over it. Like, no, I can't. I don't skip things. If there's things I need to read in order, they get read in order. They get read by publication date because that's just who I am. I cannot skip a book in a series. Sorry, I'm playing with my hair a lot. I'm just passionate about reading today. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It's not really a series. There's a companion novel called Concrete Rose. It just released, and I'm planning on reading that this month. So hopefully I'm going to be able to say that I finished that duology. Technically a duology. Companion novels. Zeros by Scott Westerfeld. Read the first one. Really enjoyed it. Never read the other 2. What else? One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. I kid you not. I read the first book. I started it January 4th, 2020. I didn't finish it till December 2020. I've never had a book take me a year to read before. Usually it takes about a month if it's dragging on for me. No, this one took a year while I was like reading other things between reading this. Wow. See, like, that book I would have gave, like, 4 stars, but then I'm like, it took you a year to read it, Jessica. That just doesn't happen in your world. So, obviously, there was something that was not keeping your attention. So, I gave it a 3-star, even though I really wanted to give it a 4-star, because I had to be honest with myself. And those are all of the series that I have not finished, that I need to finish, that I might not ever finish, but hopefully I will one day. If there's a series I mentioned that you think that I really need to read, like right now, that it's embarrassment that I haven't finished, let me know in the comments. I know there's a few that I'm really embarrassed about, but I had to be honest with myself and with you guys. I'm still learning my uploading schedule just because I am a full-time student right now. So some days it's between homework or recording a video. And I have a lot of homework, so sometimes I'm just too burnt out and it doesn't happen. But hopefully I can keep consistent because I'm trying to at least post once a week for now. And then whenever I'm on break, like summer break or weekends and stuff, I'm hoping to film a little bit more so that I can upload a little more frequently throughout the week. Alright, see you lovelies. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.